Malcolm X was an American revolutionary.
An electrifying spokesman for the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X fought to attain civil rights through militant self-defense.
This will be an organization that will give the black man in this country the right to defend himself by any means necessary.
Born Malcolm Little on May 19, 1925, in Omaha, Nebraska, Malcolm grew up in East Lansing, Michigan, where he suffered the death of his father in 1931. Several years later, Malcolm's mother was placed in a mental institution, and he lived in foster homes until he dropped out of school at 15.
Malcolm X was a brilliant young man, but he told the teacher he wanted to be a lawyer, and that teacher suggested instead that he be a carpenter. That begins Malcolm X's sort of slow slide out of school.
After moving to Boston, Malcolm fell into a life of drugs and crime, and at 20 years old, he was sentenced to 10 years in jail for larceny. While imprisoned, Malcolm joined the Nation of Islam, and upon his release in 1952, he changed his name to Malcolm X.
Most people who are descendant from formerly enslaved Africans carry the last name of their former masters or those families, and Malcolm X basically let go of that name, and he chose X to symbolize his unknown African name.
From 1952 to 1960, Malcolm X expanded the Nation of Islam from roughly 400 to 40,000 members. But as an opposing voice to integration, Malcolm X incited fear and controversy.
Malcolm X was the counterpoint to Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement. They were talking about nonviolence and peace and love and cooperation. Malcolm never participated in violence, but he was definitely about, we have to fight back. He spoke for so many African Americans who were literally terrified of saying the things that he was saying.
Anyone who stands in the way of your and my freedom, our human dignity, is a cold-blooded, blue-eyed enemy.
What Malcolm X did that drew so many people to him was he had an energy that was urgent and young, and I think he triggered a certain kind of action in people, a certain kind of self-esteem that I'm worthy of challenging the status quo.
In 1963, tensions erupted between Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam due to his growing popularity and his objection to the extramarital affairs of Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam leader. By 1964, Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam and converted to Sunni Muslim.
Malcolm X had this life-changing event when he went to Mecca. He went outside of America and connected to the global image of Islam. He came back differently and felt that everyone was his brother.
On February 21st, 1965, while preparing for a speech in a Manhattan ballroom, Malcolm X was rushed by 3 gunmen from the Nation of Islam and was killed by 21 shots to his body. His posthumous autobiography, published in 1965, was named by Time magazine as one of the 10 required nonfiction books of all time, and became a film in 1992 starring Denzel Washington.
Okay, so thanks everybody for joining us. Today, we're going to review the Malcolm X sacrifice. He passed away in 1965 at the age of 39. And his death was another Jesuit ritual, no doubt about it. And his mentor, Elijah Muhammad, if you guys are not familiar with who Elijah Muhammad is, he was the leader of the Nation of Islam. Elijah Muhammad was another Jesuit-controlled agent. He died on February 25th, the 56th day of the year. The God names equal 56 and 79, like Society of Jesus. So it makes me think, if Elijah Muhammad was controlled, I think Mr. Malcolm X was controlled as well. A lot of people love Malcolm X because he was so aggressive and he was so inspiring. A lot of people love MLK for that reason as well. Well, MLK wasn't as aggressive as Malcolm X, but all this black power that they promoted and all this you need to fight back, all this stuff was all this stuff was a plan by the Jesuit order. similar to what they're doing today with the Black Lives Matter movement. Remember, in Gematria, Black Power, which is what Malcolm X promoted, that was the name of his movement. Black Power equals 56 and 106, just like Black Lives Matter. So there's no difference between the movement that Malcolm X started and the Black Lives Matter movement. It's no difference. And they are both part of the same order. The Jesuits controlling all these people. And I'm really disappointed because I thought Malcolm X was different. But after researching his death, not only did he go out by the numbers, but a lot of the people who were associated with him also went out by the numbers. So it's hard for me to believe that Elijah Muhammad was controlled and Malcolm X wasn't. And, you know, people like Muhammad Ali as well. Muhammad Ali, another Jesuit puppet. All these so-called black leaders. So disappointing. But Malcolm X's death was a huge 44 ritual. You know, in Gematria, African American equals 44. Malcolm X died on a day with 44 numerology. MLK died on April 4th on 4/4. The person that supposedly is responsible for the death of Malcolm X was a man named Thomas Hagen. If you notice the headline, he got 44 years in prison. And his name in Gematria also equals 44. So everything about Malcolm X was done by the numbers. And again, the people who use this code is the Catholic Church, the Jesuit order. So it's hard for me to believe that Malcolm X, as much as people can try to convince me, he was definitely controlled. No doubt about it. MLK as well. I don't think MLK would have a national holiday if he wasn't controlled by the Jesuit order. But, you know, 44, not only does the African American equals 44, but kill, execution, shooting, all 44. Malcolm X dead on the day with 44 numerology. And notice Malcolm and Muslim, right? He was a Muslim leader. The name Malcolm is 24 and 39, right? He was 39 years old when he died, just like MLK. So he dies at the age of 39 and his name equals 39. Look at this, right? So Elijah Muhammad, he died just 4 days after, well, they died in different years, Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, but their deaths are celebrated 4 days apart. And February 25th is the 56th day of the year. And the name Elijah Muhammad equals the same as Society of Jesus. This was Malcolm X's mentor and teacher, supposedly. The leader of the Nation of Islam. And notice Nation of Islam is 58 and 77, just like Secret Society. Freemasonry is also 58. Rosicrucian is also 77. I mean, all this stuff is just it's so disappointing because this stuff, a lot of people got fooled by all this. You know, people thought Malcolm X and MLK were really trying to move the blacks forward, and really what they was trying to do is it was really promoting racism. And that's what the Black Lives Matter movement is. It promotes racism. You notice the article talks about how they released the book. This article here that I'm about to read to you guys, it talks about how Malcolm X's book came out in October of the year that he was killed, on October 29th. That date is interesting because that's the day that leaves 63 days in a year, and racism equals 63. A number that I was talking about yesterday with the Juwan Howard brawl, right? Because he supposedly punched one of the Wisconsin's assistant head coaches. And yesterday, the Michigan Wolverines lost with 63 points. And what I was saying is how they always use the number 63 in these racial divisive stories. Think about Ronnie King, who was beat on March 3rd, on the 63rd day of the year. The same day that Trayvon Martin was buried, March 3rd, 63rd day of the year. R. Kelly, another person involved in I guess, you know, it is racial because what they try to do with R. Kelly was try to kill his character. A black man who is molesting little girls, you know. R. Kelly, he got charged with having sex with a minor on a day with 63 numerology. 63. And also people like Dylan Stormroof, who shot up the black church on the day with 63 numerology. All of these events are coded around the number 63. So Malcolm X dies in a big racially divisive death, and his books comes out on the day leaving 63 days in the year. And then his leaders is connected to the Society of Jesus. So, and just ask yourself, what are the odds that both Malcolm X and MLK, they both died at the age of 39? Isn't that strange? But notice what it says here. So Malcolm X was an African-American leader in the civil rights movement, a minister and supporter of black nationalism. He urges fellow black Americans. This is called division, you guys. When you're directing a message to a color instead of a gender. I mean, why was he trying to urge black Americans? Why not just urge Americans, period? Because it's not Americans that are being suppressed. It's not black Americans that are being suppressed. It's all Americans. You guys think that blacks and whites are different, and they're not. Everybody's a slave to the Jesuit order. All of us. You know? So Malcolm X was another person promoting division. That's what he was. Just like MLK, just like all these other characters. Elijah Muhammad, Muhammad Ali, and all these other pawns, you know? So he urged his fellow black Americans to protect themselves against white aggression. White aggression? It's not white aggression. It's Catholic aggression. It's the NWO aggression. It's not white aggression. By any means necessary, a stance that often put him at odds with the nonviolent teachings of Martin Luther King Jr. His charisma and oratory skills helped him achieve national prominence in the Nation of Islam, a belief system that merged Islam with black nationalism. After Malcolm X's assassination in 1965, his best-selling book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X, popularized his ideas and inspired the Black Power movement. And again, Black Power is 106, like Black Lives Matter, like I Can't Breathe, like all these other, there's so many 106s, you know. I think he's in Black 106. Black by itself is 106. But Black Power is also 56. Now look at this. Black Power 106 and 56. Black Lives Matter 106 and 56. So it's the same thing. It's just they're reinventing this. They're just doing it again and again. It's like a wheel. It's like a wheel. What they did in 1965, they came back and did it in 2008, and they'll come back and do it in 2030 until people catch on. There is no black and white. It's just us, Americans, against them, against the NWO. That's all it is. You know? Of course, they're going to have puppets like Malcolm X promote black and white. Like, oh, we need to fight against white. We need to fight against the white man. The white man this, the white man that. Bullshit. It's not the white man doing nothing to us. It's the church doing all this to us. And I bet you there's black members in that church. There's people in that belong to the church, that work for the church, who are colored. I guarantee you. Case in point, Barack Obama. You think Barack Obama is not down with the church? He is. He's not a friend of ours. Barack Obama is a black man, right? So is it a color thing, or is it a group thing? I think it's a group thing. So look at this. Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam. It was in jail that Malcolm X first encountered the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, head of the lost found Nation of Islam, or Black Muslims, a black nationalist group that identified white people as the devil. It's not white people that are the devil. It's the Jesuit order that's the devil. Soon after Malcolm adopted the last name X, to represent his rejection of his slave name. Malcolm was released from prison after serving 6 years and went on to become a minister of Mosque Number 7 in Harlem, where his oratory skills and sermons in favor of self-defense gained the organization's new admirers. The Nation of Islam grew from 400 members to 1,952. It grew from 400 members in 1952 to 40,000 members by 1960. His admirers included celebrities like Muhammad Ali, who became close friends with Malcolm X before the two had a falling out. Muhammad Ali, another piece of shit. A lot of people like him because of his boxing skills. That boxing, all his boxing matches were all rigged. There's nothing impressive about Muhammad Ali. So not only was he participating in rigged sports, but he was also a sellout promoting division. So you get the two of the best. You get the best of two worlds with Muhammad Ali. You get an agent and a scammer. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's other things we could talk about, but it's just obvious what these people were up to back then in those days, right? Way before most of us was even born. They've been doing the same thing to our people, to Americans, time and time again. I guarantee you, there was a lot of black people who hated white people for no reason because they were so motivated by Malcolm X. And he got the job done. That was his goal, to get blacks to hate whites and vice versa. There are black police officers out there. So, if you listen to a lot of the interviews that Malcolm X talks about, he talks about how the KKK is no different than the police department. It's just a white man with a uniform. Yeah, but there's a lot of black people with a uniform as well. So again, is it a color thing or is it something else going on? Maybe the people that you work for, Malcolm. The people who gave you that name and made sure that you died at 39. People who told you that you're a Muslim. How perfect is this? Yeah, so today marks the 57-year anniversary since his death. And don't forget about his daughter who died. Let me look up his daughter died 56 years after his death. Again, the Jesuits. They murdered his daughter by the numbers. I think it was September 30th on 30/9, like 39. Like how Malcolm died at 39. Even his daughter was taken out by the numbers, by the same order that took him out. Look at this. Malcolm X's daughter. I remember she died last year. I think it was September 30th, if I'm not mistaken. Malikah Shabazz. Yeah. No, actually, her birthday was September 30th, 1965. So, her father dies that year at the age of 39, and then she's born. I guess her mother was pregnant when Malcolm died, so I guess she never got to meet her dad. But her dad dies at the age of 39, and she's born on 9/3. 93 is another big number with Malcolm X and MLK. 93, the reflection of 39. The name Malcolm X is 93, by the way. Just like Crucifix and God's Son. And Martin Luther King Jr.'s name is also 93. 93 is a very important number. It's also connected to, Saturn and stuff like that. But the 56-year-old Shabazz was found unconscious and unresponsive. So his daughter dies at the age of 56. And I should have did a decode on her before we did this live stream, but I do remember her dying 56 days after her birthday because I glanced at it real quick, but I don't think I documented. I don't think I decoded her death. So her name is 57. You could say she died in her 57-year life. Her name is 78, like Jesuit. Let me take a look. Oh, her name is definitely 106. So you got to put that 106 in there Just like Black Power, just like Black Lives Matter. Of course, the 83 stands out with the 34. And then her name Malikah is 44. like how her dad died on a 44 ritual. You see what I mean? Undeniable stuff, man. This stuff is sick. So not only was he controlled, but his daughter, probably all his family members. She died on the day with 44 numerology, you guys. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So her name is 44. Her name Malikah. Her dad died in a 44 ritual. And she dies on the day with 44 numerology. Just like how her dad died on the day with 44 numerology. See? Undeniable stuff. So, really disappointing. And then they said that she died from natural causes at the age of 56. Natural causes at the age of 56? So it's just natural to die at 56, huh? Interesting. Oh my gosh, she died on November 22nd on the anniversary of JFK's assassination. Oh my goodness, man. There's so much to this. So look, she dies on November 22nd, the day that JFK was assassinated. And I remember because I was reading something about how JFK was exposing the JFK assassination in this documentary. So look at that. They take out his daughter on the anniversary of JFK. Oh my goodness. She dies on the 54th day of her age. Of course she did. Jesuit order. And she was born on the day. Oh my gosh, man. November 22nd leaves 39 days left in the year, you guys. 39 days in the year. Her dad, Malcolm, dies at 39. The name Malcolm is 39. Unbelievable. Yeah, but she died on the 54th day of her age. Jesuit order, 54. There you go. So, death from natural causes, huh? Okay. But I'll leave it there. Thanks everybody for joining us, and I'll see you guys next time.